Mercedes-Benz E Class WU 212 model car problems: unable to drive after suddenly starting car engine. Car problems include hard shifting, limited gear operation, delayed shifting, and rough shifting. And if you shift gear but there is sound in the gearbox while driving, how to solve this problem, how to repair it, so watch the full video. Inshallah you will be able to repair it. My best wishes and congratulations on behalf of this channel. I will check with the scan computer to see if there is any fluid code for any sensor or electric cable problem. Now I have to click on etc. to check the transmission fluid code and see if the fluid code comes up. We'll click the read full code. There are two fluid codes, number 1 code p2767Y3/8 and 2 transmission speed RPM sensor unavailable, number 2 p2768 revolutions per minute sensor 2 turbine wheel malfunction. The input speed sensor tells the transmission control module, TCM, how fast the engine is turning so that the correct gear can be engaged. Transmission gear shifting problems cause a p2768 and another p2767 trouble code to set when the powertrain control module, PCM, is unable to detect a signal from the input/turbine speed sensor. Problems can occur due to the RPM sensor not working properly. Irregular movements. Transmission will not shift gears. Increased fuel consumption. Speedometer/odometer will not work or needle will fluctuate. Engine stalls when stopped in gear. Limp mode. Because. Broken transmission input shaft speed sensor. Damaged wire or connector metal debris collected on the magnetic sensor. ECU/TCM programming problem. How to locate and replace transmission gear RPM input and output sensors. First, remove the drain bolt screw and drain the transmission fluid. If the transmission fluid has been drained, open the transmission gearbox oil pan. Remove 6 screws to open transmission gearbox oil pan. After opening the screw, take out the oil pan of the gearbox like this. To open the valve body of the Mercedes-Benz E-Class car, first open the connector socket of the wire, and remove the screws holding the valve body. Before opening the Mercedes-Benz transmission valve body, make sure that the transmission valve body selector rod and parking lock, shift lock, are installed in the right position. When installing the valve body, install it in this way. If it is not seated correctly, the gear shift will not change. The transmission valve body is fixed with 10 screws on the front side and rear side. Remove the 10 screws to open the valve body. The reason for having to open the transmission valve body is because the conductor plate has to be taken out. The RPM sensor is mounted inside the conductor plate, so the RPM input and output sensors do not work properly. When all the screws of the transmission valve body are opened, be careful while taking out the valve body, so as not to damage the cable socket connector. Slowly open it downwards. Sometimes the cable connector is stuck with the body of the gearbox. It is a little difficult to open it. After opening the transmission valve body, remove the conductor plate from the transmission valve body. without opening all the screws of the conductor plate and solenoid valve sensor completely. Lift the conductor plate and the solenoid sensor of the valve body together in this way and free it so that you can open it very easily. Remove the screws from the transmission valve body and remove all the sensors from the transmission valve body. After the transmission sensor solenoid opens, remove all the screws on the conductor plate and take out the plate. After removing the conductor plate, the transmission RPM input and output sensors are located side by side. Change both RPM sensors can solve the problem at low cost, and if you can't change the sensor then change it. 722.95 pins TCM conductor plate transmission control TCU troubleshooting. After changing the transmission RPM speed sensor, fit the conductor plate and solenoid sensor well. Install the transmission valve body inside the gearbox. After installing the transmission valve body inside the gearbox, check that everything is properly fitted. Everything is okay. Get the transmission auto filter and gearbox oil and install it properly. Get the transmission gearbox oil when the installation is complete. Connect all the wires to the sockets and install the auto transmission fluid. After installing 6 liters of automatic transmission fluid, start the car engine and warm it up a little and select gear N position. Check the fluid level with the engine running. To check the transmission fluid level, if the fluid level drops below the gap after opening the draw and bolt screw, the fluid level is correct, and if the fluid level does not drop below the gap, the fluid level is not correct. Install more fluid. After installing a total of 7 liters of transmission fluid, the fluid level is fine. Remember that opening the transmission valve body requires 7 liters of fluid. Now to clear the etc. fluid codes through the scan computer, first turn the ignition switch to the on position. I will click for clear fault code. Please turn ignition switch off. And then press enter to continue. Please wait 5 seconds for the fault codes to be erased. Fault codes cleared. Please turn on ignition switch on or start the engine. Press enter to continue. No, I will check again fault code. Click for read fault code. OK, done. Clear fault code. No, is no fault code. Everything is complete. Now I will drive the car. There is no problem now, inshallah. If you have trouble understanding the video, please comment.